All right. Well, if I didn't know any better, I would think that free agency has already started on a Monday on free agent eve. The West got even better. So let's talk about that on a new episode of Locked On Avalanche coming at you.
You're Locked On Avalanche, your daily podcast on the Colorado Avalanche. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Locked On Avalanche podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Chris Maselli, and with me, as always, Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. Thank you for tuning in and making it your first listen of the day. That's always appreciated. If you want to get in on the conversation, then join our subtext. The link is in the show notes below. Chat with Kyle and I one-on-one, and all of your opinions are shared on this very podcast. It is technically free agency day on Tuesday. But what a wild Monday this was. Like I said, free agency eve. We're going to get to kind of players that we hope the Avalanche kind of target. But we kind of have to start with this Monday, and we'll start Avalanche specific here, Kyle. We'll get to, the big news with Mitch Marner and kind of what that means for the West. But the Avs do sign Sam Malinski. So they get him for a 1-year deal for $1.4 million. I think that's a very nice increase for him. Basically doubles his money, if I'm not mistaken, from last year, right around there. So if you listen to this podcast, I'm a big supporter of Malinski. I thought he had a very solid, sound year for really being his first full-time season with the Avs. I'm expecting a very good season for him. And if that holds true, you see a maybe a little bit nicer contract this time next year. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. This screams Matt Nieto contract. When I saw it, I was like, oh, this is a show me contract. Like, it's either we like you, we want to see what you got. Like, this is your first foray into a full-time position.
Mm-hmm.
You're past your probation period. Show us what you got. But if there's not like a significant step up or you settle into a role, then no harm, no foul at the end of the year. Maybe somewhere else will do better for you. So I'm cheering for Sam. I think he's going to do great. I'm pretty sure they're going to pick him up next year. The year after. And it's going to be a nice little contract. He absolutely deserved the 1.4. Can't wait to see what it's going to be from there. But yeah, it's all on you, Sam. You're on the case, Malinski. Step up.
And, because he's, a late bloomer when it comes to, when he entered the league. So, his 1 year gets him to unrestricted free agency next year. So, I mean, if it, like you're saying, all right, here's your year, I would expect him to be part of the defensive core to start the season. Or if not, if there is a log jam, he would be at the front of whoever is there, I would think. Because he's familiar. No, he's only been there for a little while, but he's more familiar with it than if they bring in guys tomorrow or today, depending on when listen to this, for free agency. He's got the step up on them. But then it's what do you do with it during the regular season? And if it doesn't go the way that you want it to go, maybe he's trade bait by trade deadline. If it goes the way you want it to go, you can kind of sign him before the season is even over. And give him an extension and keep him around for a little while longer. Again, just being a fan of his, I hope it's going to go that route. But got to play the games, got to see how it goes. I'm glad they got this done. You felt like it was going to. He was restricted, so you felt like it was going to get done. Nice number, doesn't kill your cap situation, and go have a good season.
Yeah, no complaints with it at all. Like, even if you want to get nitpicky on Sam Malinski, like you still have an out. So it's fine.
Yep. And then the big news, obviously, is Mitch Marner. You heard this bubbling up, and it just seemed to eventually boil over. And then it happened where Marner is traded to Vegas. It's a sign and trade, so they are able to get him the 8-year deal, which we talked about that. What would the short-term deals kind of be like the new it thing for like the superstars? At least for Mitch Marner, it is not. He's doing the 8 years. This is the last year you can do 8 years, with the new collective bargaining agreement for next year, everything's going to be cut down a year for max contracts. And he was like, no, I'm going the full 12 million AAV. And he comes to Vegas, who again somehow just makes things like this happen. And it's part of the reason I have such disdain for them, is just they always seem to come out on top of finding the big names and making it work where they get them to come in. They do have to do a little bit of maneuvering, but the Alex Pietrangelo thing, that's 8.8 coming off of the books. So it makes it a lot easier to figure this out. But again, Vegas is going to be a force again.
As soon as the news broke, I've had trouble just being okay with it all day. Like why do they always win? And
I know
it's frustrating, especially with the news about Alex. Like, it's sad but oddly convenient. They get Mitch Marner. I'm very curious to see, because again, like, I know what Mitch Marner can be, but we only know him in that traditional blue and white. What's he going to do when he gets to Las Vegas? Is he going to adapt to that roster? Because we had this kind of story last year with Nashville. Pave the way for the Stanley Cup. Nashville is coming. Vegas is looking that way. Like, you get your nice little hodgepodge of, like, you got your Eichels, and like, it's a great roster, but can they play together is the question. There's only one puck, and Mitch Marner's got to prove that he could do this on his own. He's no longer part of the Fab Four. Yeah. Is he going to have a Ringo Starr career, or is he going to have like a John Lennon or a Paul McCartney career? That's what you're going to find out.
It's a good question. I whenever a team can bring in superstar player, they're going to do it, most of the time. And I think there's always going to be questions like, oh, will this work? I don't know. Can this? And I think that's just other fan bases hoping that it doesn't. And, the whole thing with Nashville last year, everybody was just so quick to just put them in the Stanley Cup because of the moves that they made. And look what happened. I feel like that's how it worked out for Nashville last year was kind of the few times that it did not work out and it just collapsed immensely.
2004 Colorado Avalanche.
What's that? 2000? Yeah, no, you're right. And that's what I'm saying. Like, the few times, like, it does happen. I'm not saying like it never happens, but I just feel like more often than not, like, these teams are just fine. I'm not saying put them in the Stanley Cup final, but in the end, they're obviously a playoff team. But what's going to happen is if they don't start off hot, then the questions are going to all, start to come around. And was this a good trade to make? And, like, that stuff like that is going to happen. But if it happens sometime at any other point during the beginning of the regular season, they're fine. But if they start like last year's Colorado Avalanche, just giving up 8 goals a game and you lose your first 4 or 5 games, like, questions immediately are going to be had, fairly or unfairly. But I most of the time these teams work out okay. And because it's Vegas, again, if you're outside of that fan base, you're hoping that it doesn't work out for whatever reason. But it's probably going to, because Marner's he's a great player. I know people love to get on him. It was the Maple Leafs thing. He's a really, really good hockey player. But you do, like, sure, there's questions and reasonable questions of, he's only played for one team, with that core of players. Yeah, it's a valid question. How long does it take to adapt? Is it a good fit? And we're either going to go the road of, they're these superstar teams. They're superstars for, like, they can play together. They can make it work. But I'm hoping that they don't, because I just cannot stand to keep talking about Vegas and how they continue to do this. On one hand, Kyle, like, I want to hate it, and I do. And on the other, it's like, it's got to be nice rooting for a team where the front office is going to go after every big name player that they can go after.
But they've also proven, like, that front office, like, yes, they'll go get the big talent, but they're loyal to none. So if
nobody.
If things don't work out, And I feel kind of bad for Mitch because you go from Toronto to Vegas, where it's also a weird environment. Like you always have the press to worry about in Toronto. Well, Vegas, everything you do is amplified. Like every move you make, dropping, moving, handling the LTIR, like everything is amplified. So there's some pressure there too. And doing this on your own, you don't have Tavares bailing you out, and you don't have Austin Matthews. So it's going to be a very interesting place to really form your own path as an individual superstar. And Vegas kind of still needs to find their identity too.
I mean, yeah, you're leaving Toronto. There's obviously good names there, but like we're just saying, like Vegas brings in the big names themselves. Obviously, they went and got Eichel, they went and got Hurdle. So they have those guys. Obviously, Mark Stone is still there.
Flower.
Back then, yeah, they went and got him. So,
you're making big names and you're bringing them in.
Right. This is nothing new for them. So, I think to me, Vegas has their name and their notoriety, and it's hated by every other fan base for what they do.
The Yankees of hockey.
You know what, man? Like that's because I kind of root for the Yankees. I kind of have to.
It's Steinbrenner Yankees.
Yeah, in a way, it is. They need to win more championships.
Yeah, true.
They've only been around for so long, but they do have the one. It's just when I first heard it, every time I hear Vegas is in on somebody, my first gut reaction is like, how do you keep doing this? They find a way. They find a way to make it work. And once again, that just makes the West that much more tough. And there's a part of me that is happy that like you knew this was going to go down this road. It seemed like that. So there's a part of me that it is happy that it happened the day before free agency started, because from the Avalanche perspective, they look at that and be like, we got to go get better now. And does that make the moves that they could potentially make on free agency day and all throughout free agency, with that in mind? There's another move that another West team made that made them better. The West is going to be as difficult as it's ever been. We need to keep up with all of that. And does that impact the moves the Avalanche make in free agency on day one?
And it helps to have that additional cap because every other team in the West now has that mentality that you just mentioned. So it's not just the Avalanche. Oh, we got to get better. Everybody else, it's that those seagulls from Finding Nemo. They're all popping up like we got to get better right now. Everybody, yeah. And now the Avalanche have to not only fight for their team, but fight amongst everybody else who has that same feeling right now, seeing that tick across the bottom of their screen. So it's going to be interesting. Free agency day is going to be interesting, even though everybody's like, well, it's already over. No, there's going to be a lot of little moves that are going to have to make sense just to try and be better than you were last year.
Yep. So who are those guys? So let's get our first break in here and we come back. We did this a while ago, but now the day is here for free agency to start. So kind of narrowed our lists down to guys that we specifically want the Avalanche to look at, hope they look at, feel that they could be good fits for this Avalanche team. I'm not really going to do it in any like run down order, but I think we should save who our number one guy is for last. So we'll do all of that coming up next. Let's hear from FanDuel. Summer sports are in full swing, and whether you are all about baseball under the lights, golf on the green, or high-stakes soccer action, FanDuel is the best way to make every game even more exciting. You're already following the action. Why not make it a little more thrilling with FanDuel? And you can get in on the game while your friends are getting sunburned at the beach. SPF 50, my man. So if you're new to FanDuel, new customers can bet just $5 and you get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. So open the FanDuel app today and visit FanDuel.com right now to get started. So whoever's left in free agency is going to be looking for new teams potentially. on Tuesday, and it was already a thin market to begin with. And on top of Malinski obviously signed. We talked about Marner. You had Brad Marchand sign. He's staying in Florida. That's an interesting contract if I've ever seen one. A 37-year-old signing a 6-year deal.
It's almost like he wants to retire there.
I mean, that's where the snowbirds go. So there was a lot of movement going on around on Monday. There's still lots of guys left. So we'll just throw names out. There's no rhyme or reason. Like I said, I'll hold the guy that I hope they get at the top, unless you list him. Or maybe I won't even.
I have a feeling. I have a feeling just because we've done this so long together. I feel like our number one might be the same.
Okay. All right. So go ahead. Give me a name. Why you like him? Let's just start listing free agents off.
It's a softball because it's a name that also was not in the news. Nikolai Kovalenko.
He was in the news like 12 hours ago.
Yeah. Because
San Jose is not giving him a qualifying offer, makes him a free agent. This would be great.
He got his contract last year was under 900,000. Like, knows the system, and honestly, bring him back in, depth piece, perfect. You had high hopes for him, and you walk away from that Georgie trade, like
giving up you're giving. That's it.
That's it.
To me, this is a no-brainer. Like, I would feel like for the Avalanche, they would be all in on this. It would just be if there's maybe like some sour grapes there on Kovalenko's end for, you traded me. I don't want to go back there, which I can understand. But, sometimes you got to put your big boy pants on and understand like it's a business and Avs had a need. San Jose looked at you as at the time, they've had him on the top line at times when they brought him in. I'm a little bit surprised at this, that they did not give him an offer. But if I'm the Avalanche, I would just dive right back into that pool and bring him back. It'd be hilarious.
I give him
and needed.
I give him the same contract I gave Sam Malinski.
Yeah, I wouldn't be against it. I mean, he's not going
to say sorry for the trade. Ask Matt Nieto what it's like to go to San Jose twice.
Yeah. So I like that. I do. I really like that. Again, no rhyme or reason to this, but the more I was looking at the lists, the more I was thinking about what the Avalanche need and where they've struggled a lot over the past. What's the one thing that we always jokingly bring up after games and we're going through the stats? And if they win in this department, we kind of like throw confetti up in the air.
I think I know who you're going to pick.
Christian Dvorak.
Yeah.
He's going to be a free agent. He would give you a what the Avalanche are missing in your depth. He kills penalties. He plays very good defense. He's not going to give you a ton offensively, but he will win faceoffs. And, you lost that with Coyle going out. So, you do need a guy that is a little bit good on faceoffs. He's very good at that. So, he's one of those guys where when you put him on like a fourth line, and we've talked about this so many times, like just do your job on a fourth line and just hand it over to the top line to go do their thing. I think that's Christian Dvorak could be that type of guy.
Yeah, I think that would be a home run. I think that makes a lot of sense. I like that one a lot.
And it would be, again, one that's not a lot of money.
Yeah, true. That's the big thing. Like, especially with like what's left in free agency, there's not that big like back up the Brinks truck. You have to get him. Like you're making tiny pieces that work with what the Avalanche are doing, not going out and get that name that changes the game. That's not out there right now.
And he's 29 years old. So it's not like he's like 36, 37, aged forward or anything. So he's at that good age where you can get some really solid years out of him. So there you go. There's one, I guess. Go ahead.
My first softball was Covey. Go get him.
Yep.
Second softball. And this is the last time I'm going to be doing this. Go get Kiwi Ronta.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are high on him for the year that he had last year, and I completely understand that.
Understands the system, cheap, depth. You believe in what you're doing, and you believe in your core. And again, this is under the assumption, which I'll address with my number one, but we're under the assumption that Ross Colton's taking that 3C. You got your centers all figured out. 4 of my players are wingers.
Okay.
So you're really wanting to pad that because you traded out Miles Wood as well, which was a nice piece to add in there. You have some good guys that fill in, but I like bringing in Kiwi Ronta. Again, he knows the system. You want to run it back, prove it.
Yep. No, I can't. Yeah, he had a good year, and I think the interesting thing with him is going to be, what did other teams value that season that he just had with the Avalanche? And is there a team that just gives him a little bit more that the Avalanche are offering? And for guys like him, that little bit more is a big deal.
Yeah.
So that's my only concern, is because I'm sure the Avalanche would like to have him back, but he's probably going to test the market. And I just feel like he's the type of guy that is going to go, if it works out where, hey, the team that offer me the most money is also a contender, I'm out. If they're offering me more than the Avalanche are, I'm out.
And you would think, like, they gave him a PTO. Like, he started his journey with the Avs as a PTO. So I think there's a little bit of loyalty. Like, hey, we're here for you, man.
Yeah, you got my career back. Run. Yeah, it could be that too. Definitely. Another one for me. I think you mentioned Mangiapane before.
Yeah,
Andrew Mangiapane, and again, like I've always kind of liked him for some reason. I feel like he's just, he would be on a third line, but I'm not like falling over. Like I kind of feel like he'll be a guy that if they're A, B, and C don't work out, all right, let's just go get Mangiapane because we can slot him in there and he'll do a good job. Like he's not going to overextend like what he's capable of doing. The Avs don't need someone like that to, put, like we were saying with how this roster was after the trade deadline. Everybody was slotted in where they should have been and nobody was overextending themselves. Yep. That's what you would do with Mangiapane. You wouldn't need him to go play a top 6 role. I'd be worried if they did want to put him in a top 6 role, but they won't. And I think where he is, I think it'd be low cost, solid production. He finds ways to score. Just seems like a solid, no nonsense player that I think could be pretty good on this team.
Yeah, I like that. I think that fits. And honestly, I'll throw my third one before the break. Mm-hmm. It goes like, I kind of like it. When you think about it, it kind of works. He's cheap, but he's old. James Van Riemsdyk. Every trade deadline.
I've wanted him for years, but now I feel like I've crossed that bridge. Like, the age thing, I can't get through it. But
you got rid of Miles Wood. You can bring in James Van Riemsdyk. Every time it comes around, like whenever that rumor comes around, like, hey, they should go get JVR. I'm like, yeah, that always makes sense. And why not? Just get it done. See what he could do. If nothing, it's not going to break the bank. You have that cap and you can move it. It's just, now would be the time.
I don't know if the Avs want to go that old.
Because it's not like we're asking him to play first, second, third line. You'll probably be dancing around on that fourth.
I gotta sit with that one. I really liked him years ago, and it was always one of those guys where if he was floated around at a trade deadline, like, be nice to have him on an Avalanche team. Is it just too late now in the career? I don't know. But I'll say this: like, if it did happen, wouldn't hate it. Would just be a wait and see thing. Like, okay, now what are you going to produce? What can you give us? And if it's not happening, are we out there? Are you getting traded to Seattle?
Yeah, he made $900,000 last year. I expect his next one to look. Yeah, it's not going to break anything.
Right. So, more guys we got listed here. We'll take one more quick break and then kind of finish this up with guys that we are hoping the Avalanche target. We'll do that next. All right, let's dive back into this, sir. There's a few more names that we each have. I'm going to go. I think this is another guy that you had listed before, Jack Roslovic.
I did. I had him right behind Ryan Donato. It was.
You did, yes. Yep. I think this would be a pretty good one. I don't think Carolina kept him around. That's the funny thing. With so much happening on Monday, I feel like I had all my ducks in a row. But no, I think like he is testing free agency. I think it could be a good number. Like he's the type of guy where you got rid of Charlie Coyle, and how I said on yesterday's episode, like you're not going to go after someone that costs as much as him or even more. I don't think Roslovic would be more than Coyle's 5.25. I think you can get him for a little bit less than that. And I think you can get solid production from him. He's a really good skater. He's got, I feel like he has more to give offensively and points wise. And I think he could do that on a team like the Avalanche.
Yeah.
We're kind of getting towards the top of guys that I'd really like to see. He is definitely one of them.
Yeah. And I completely agree. Like he could almost have like a Drury type year. Like I like his production. I feel like a change of scenery would help, especially from where he was. That's definitely going to help.
But I don't think he played center full time. I don't think he did. I think he was a hybrid guy. So if they are asking him to go center full time, maybe that's something to watch. But I don't know.
Ross comes back.
Yeah, definitely. And you can play with that. You can alternate those guys back and forth. So kind of one of those guys that's you can slot in different spots. I would really like that pickup. Yeah.
My number 4, like I had JVR as the let's just get it done. Now it's my expensive let's just get it done. Brandon Tanev.
We talk about him a lot.
He made 3.5 last year. I mean, depth guy. I think this will be like your Pierre-Edouard Bellemare presence in the locker room. Like I think it'd just be cool to, have the yearly like photo, be in the Avalanche jersey and be like, he's now like, I think it'd just be a cool uplift for the locker room and what he provides on the ice. I think he's still got it. He's not as prolific as he once was, but I think it's now time.
But he's that guy that goes nonstop, right? And almost like Miles Wood did. Like Miles Wood gave you everything he had, and sometimes left you scratching your head. But Tanev, like for some reason, we've both been kind of like, would be great to have him here. And I just get the impression that the Avalanche have never really gone down that road of really wanting to look into bringing him in here. And that's the only reason I'm saying, like, again, it'd be fun. It'd be cool. It'd be entertaining. And I just don't know if the Avalanche, do you feel like because he kind of plays like a Miles Wood game, the Avalanche got burned with Miles Wood. So maybe they don't want to go back to that in that style of player, even though it's different guy. Like maybe Tanner's a little bit more in control of himself, but he's still a bowling ball out there.
Yeah.
Would be entertaining, would be highlights every night.
Yeah. The Avs teams with that personality, that little bit of a motor, that works. Like Miles Wood was kind of that, but just not the same level.
I don't think any of us have named any defense yet. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to cheat a little bit here. I'm not going to give you one name. I'm going to give you 3.
What?
I'm going to give you Ryan Lindgren, Dmitry Orlov, and Nick Perbix. And what do all 3 of those guys have in common other than they play defense? They are big boys. And I think that's where the Avalanche want to go with their defensive. Like they have Manson, but we've talked about this a lot this offseason. They need more, and I think they want more. So I think they want to add one more big body to the defensive end. Orlov might be too expensive for them, so I just threw him out there because he's a free agent, big body. Would love to have that guy. Lindgren, talked about him since the move with Wood and Coyle opened up some cap space. Maybe that's where, would it soak up a lot of what's left? Yeah, but I think they like him, and Perbix would be cheaper end, but would give you that too. So that could be where they go with, like, again, Orlov, I don't think is a thing, but maybe Lindgren, they make a play at. If he says no, maybe the fill-in spot for that could be Nick Perbix.
Yeah, out of the 3, I think Perbix is more. I like Lindgren for all he was. Never moved the needle for me.
I was impressed, man. I thought he did way better than I expected him to do. He did, like, I don't know.
I get it.
Yeah.
It did not feel like he fit. Like I didn't get that good. I didn't get a good feeling from him. I like Perbix. He's cheap, and again, like if you have another year where it's just like not working, you're not taking much of a hit because you don't want to free up all this room and then tie it to one player and then it not work out, and all that was for nothing.
Yeah, I think Lindgren will cost you a little bit. It'll cost you a pretty penny. I think he wants to get paid. And how you were saying, like, the fit thing, that's why he got traded from the Rangers to begin with, just because he had a really good season and just kind of fell off the following year, and the fit was just not there. And I think a lot of people were looking at that, like he was playing top line or top defense minutes, top pairing minutes, which he can't do. He's not going to be asked to do that on this team. And it to me did seem like the fit was better. And although it was small sample size, I liked what he brought. And that's one of those, it was almost like Coyle 2.0. It's like, okay, I saw a little bit of what could be if you're here longer. Give me some more of that. And we're not getting it with Coyle. I'd be fine with it if it was Lindgren at the right price. And that is going to be the sticking point, is what is the price that he wants?
Yeah.
And can the Avalanche go there? I don't want them to just go overboard with it because they do have a little bit of more space, because they do need to sign more guys. So you can't throw it all at him because you do like him. We'll see. We'll see where it goes. But I do think they do want to get a big defender, one more big defender, to flesh out these defensive pairings.
So that leaves us both with one.
Okay. And you think we have the same one. I do not know who. I had no idea who was on your list until we started doing it.
Yeah, we do not share our information.
No.
So
what you got?
Mason Appleton.
It is not mine, but
interesting.
Yeah.
Again, you don't know with the Ross Colton what that's going to look like when he comes back. You do have a hole at 3C. How do you fill it? Who's going to solve it? Every time you've played the Jets, I like Mason Appleton. I think he's like, he could do it. I think he only commanded like 2.16 last year.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not breaking anything.
No, but guys are going to go up because the cap is going up. So, but even with him, I don't think it's would be.
And what were we paying Coyle?
Yeah, exactly. It's not going that high.
Even if it goes, if like 3.5, you're still getting a discount. And I like his game, and I feel like it would fit the Avs system really well. I think Mason Appleton would be a home run.
The thing with he's good. Like, he's just a steady presence type of guy. Let me see, like 2.1, but he'll get more than that. He's got some offensive ability. He's a guy you can just. I feel like you can slot in on any team, and he would kind of morph into whatever that system is, and he'll be just fine on any team system. But will he raise his level of play? I don't know. And you might need him to maybe do a little bit of that if you're expecting him to kind of be on a third line for the Avs, because, you're playing with guys like Nathan McKinnon. You need to do more than just the basics. And he does the basics very well. And is that going to be good enough for an Avalanche team? I don't know.
I think if you do the basics really well in Colorado, you get rewarded with. Yeah. I mean, that's the kind of play that you need. You don't need guys that take nights off and have deficits.
Yeah. For me, the guy that I have at the top of my list for who I want the Avs to get, I think his value just has gone through the roof over the past week because of everything that's happened in the league and an already thin center free agency market. And that's Pius Suter.
Interesting.
Absolutely love this guy. I think this would be a home run pick, a home run signing, I should say. Not like they're drafting him. It would be a home run signing. Like the guy that you just traded for in Gavin Brindley from Columbus. And we were talking about him on yesterday's episode. Like, he is that, like, you can do it everything forward, or that's at least the intent for him. It's what he did in college. That's what you would hope he could carry over into the NHL, where you can just slot him in. They use the term Swiss Army knife. Oddly enough, Pius Suter is from Switzerland, so
Ooh.
Swiss Army knife for him totally fits the bill. But that is what he can do. Absolutely everything. And he gives you offense. He gives you defense. You name it, whatever you need him to do, he will go out and do it. And, he can score, he can play defense, he can penalty kill, he can power play if you need him to do it. Like, I absolutely love what this guy can do. I am really surprised that he was not extended. I think they tried to get an extension done. And I really wonder if he's seeing, I'm going to have value here going into this free agency market as a free agent center. And I'm going to go test to see what this market can give me. That's my concern, is someone's going to overpay for him and just outprice someone who has a lot of money in the bank and overprice everybody. And if he runs for the money, he's probably going to get it somewhere. And that's my one hope that I hope doesn't happen, because he would fit beautifully with this Avalanche team. Does everything and wouldn't be a ton. Normally wouldn't be a ton.
Yeah.
But the way things are going, is there a team that gives him? I don't even want to throw out a number because I don't want it to sound stupid, but it could happen because we've seen the market for centers. It's not very deep.
No.
But I would love this. I would love this.
Yeah, I think that would. I wouldn't hate that one either. I really wouldn't.
I think that could.
But it's the money is the one thing that you'd hate. You don't want to do all that gymnastics to open up that cap space and then tie it up with the first day of free agency.
Yeah. And if it, like, things that I was seeing, like, God, a month ago was somewhere in like the 4 to 4.5 range. And you're seeing significantly more than that now. Significantly. So that part scares me.
After signing Trent Miner as well, they have $7.5 million.
So and that's the thing, like, you can't do, but like, if you wanted to do the either Suter or like Lindgren thing, you got to pick one of them.
Yep.
Because they're going to take up most of that. Like, let's say you get them for 5, one of those guys for 5. What do you have right now? What'd you say it was? 7?
7.5. Yeah, 7.5. 7.55.
All right. So then you got 2.5 left, and you got a couple guys assigned. So yeah, but then you're right back to where you were with Coyle. And that goes back to, why did you let him go to begin with if you're just going to re-sign a guy? So
when you're asking that same question with the Mikko Rantanen thing, like, why did you let him go if, like, you have that same question swirling around? You don't want to make that same mistake. That's kind of why I threw out the first 3. All guys made. Kiwi, Covey, and JVR all made under $1 million last year. You can go pick all those up and answer some depth issues, but you still would like an extra defender, probably, maybe a center.
We will see where it goes. Day one of free agency is always entertaining. And yes, while a lot happened on free agency eve, it should still be fun and exciting. And whoever the Avalanche get on day one, we'll be back tomorrow to discuss all of that. If we are happy with it, if we're angry with it, if they did nothing, we'll probably be angry with it. But whatever happens, we're going to talk about it tomorrow. So be sure to tune into that one. But we're going to wrap this one up. So thank you for making it your first listen of the day. Always appreciated. For Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan, I am Chris Maselli. This is the Locked On Avalanche podcast. And even though you're probably not signing him tomorrow, you will be 24 hours closer. Sidney Crosby being with the Colorado Avalanche.
Tarasenko to the Wild?
Didn't even talk about that one.